In this lesson, we're going to create the final loops for the hand and start filling in the holes. Alright, so before we get started with filling in the rest of that, let's make sure that everything matches pretty close to our reference. Now you'll notice that the thumb is a little thin, and we might want to take the end of that up a little bit. So I'm going to come in and go to vertex mode. And I'm going to take just these vertices right on the end of the finger. And let's make sure that we only have those selected, not that one there. And we're going to scale that all three directions just to make that a little larger. Okay. And let's go to our front view, and you can see that we've got that nice shape there that's looking really good. Happy with that overall. And then we also need to take this geometry that we just created. We need to bring that up closer to the wrist. So let's take this geometry, and we're just going to move that straight up in the Y for right now. And with that pulled up, we can start taking the rest of this geometry, pulling that out a little bit more, and trying to get this to match a little bit closer to the shape that we have set in our reference image. So I think that's pretty good. I think we've got a good value there. Just kind of even out these polygons a little bit. So some of them are a little skewed still and a little too long in my opinion, so we'll pull those out. Now this gives us plenty of room to work. Okay, so if we need to add more loops, which I'm sure we'll have to at some point, we still have plenty of room to do that. Okay, so let's take a look at our left view, or our front view, excuse me, and that's pretty close. I'm happy with where that's at right now. Okay, so now let's bring up the next obvious loop, which is going to be on the side of the hand. So we're going to take the polygon set right along the side of the fingers here. So we're going to take these two polygons, and I'm going to hold down Shift and drag that straight up. Okay, and we're going to continue to drag that. We're going to do that 3 times there. And it's just kind of just creating the top of that. We don't need much curvature in this. I do need to pull this over this way to start to create that loop that goes across. And I'll take this one and pull that in just a little bit. But all in all, that's really as much shape as you'll need on that. Now what we need to do is we need to take these edges and start putting all of that together. So I'm going to go from here to here, and I'll bridge that. And we'll do, let's go to our settings. Let's do 1 segment for right now, and I'm just trying to keep the polygons the same width. And I'll take this and I'm going to pull that out, and we're starting to create that pad that's on the other side of the hand. Now this one we don't need to pronounce as much. We don't need really any special loops for this pad here. We just need to make sure that that geometry is there. Now I'm going to take these edges right here, and I'm going to drag those out in the X. So hold down Control or Shift, drag that out, and then I'm going to pull those up in the Z. Okay, and we're going to hold down or go to vertex mode, hitting 1 on the keyboard. We're going to target weld these vertices together. Okay, right along the top there. And then I'm going to target weld this vertex down to here. So it's continuing that loop across the top of the hand. So we'll have to do a little bit of reshaping. We'll take this vertex and pull that down. So you can see how that's rounding that out. Looking good. And I'm pretty happy with that shape so far. So we still have plenty of room to work here. Now we're going to take this edge right here from the thumb, right across the top there, and we're going to bring that down and around to this point. But let's go from here to here first. Okay, so I'm going to bridge that. Let's create another loop there, another segment. Let's go grab this polygon, and we're going to pull that forward. And then I can go to edge mode. I can drag this up. And you kind of see how that's starting to come in there. That's going to leave us with plenty of room to allow that thumb to move across. Okay, so take a look at the range of motion on your thumb. The thumb can raise straight up and touch the side of your index finger, but then we also have the ability to take it straight across and point it toward our pinky finger here. So the thumb needs to be able to come straight down into the side and then also pull across to here. So that topology right there, that loop is going to allow that to happen. Alright, so just going to pull these up just a little bit. And those are still pretty large, but that's okay. We still have plenty of room to work in here. Now it's time to start getting the rest of this. Okay, so for right now, let's hit Control-Shift-S, and let's create a loop right here in the middle. And I'm going to hold Shift to do that, so it kind of pops out a little bit. And let's move that up and back a little bit. Let's go to vertex or edge mode, kind of pull that around a little bit. So if it helps, go to your left view. You can kind of see how that's supposed to look here. Nice little loop that comes across. Okay, and then it continues up underneath. Alright, so now let me take this edge right here. So we're skipping over this edge, and we're going to go to this edge right here, and we're going to bridge that. So we'll bridge that with, let's do 4 polygons, because I can see that these segments are going to have to connect somewhere. That may not be quite enough, but we will deal with that as we get there. So let's grab these polygons. Let's pull that forward. And I'm going to pull this across. And the top of the hand is actually kind of round. It's not as flat as it may appear in like orthographic views, like the front view or something like that. So there is a little bit of roundness to that. And we're creating the model in kind of a relaxed state. I find that it's easier to do that way instead of trying to make it straight out and create that geometry that way. So look at what we've done here. We've just created the base loops for our hand. We've blocked all of this out, and now we've got plenty to work with. So now all I really need to do is start coming in, going into border mode, select those, and then I can just cap those. And then we can come in with vertex mode and start cutting the topology that we want here and that we need. So obviously I'm going to go from here to here. Okay, and I'm just going to go straight up on these for right now. There we go. And then I'm going to take these vertices and I'm going to start pulling those a little bit closer to the middle, like so. Make that a little bit better, and that looks good. Now we have these n-gons. We'll deal with those in just a little bit. Okay, let's get the top of the hand here. We need a place for our wrist to hook into. We'll get that. Let's take this edge right here. Let's pull that up to where that's pretty much just straight across the top there. Okay. And let's come in across the bottom. Let's go to border mode, select that border and cap it. Vertex mode and cut. Try that one more time. There we go. And I'm going to go from here across. And then I'm going to come down to here, right in the middle. Okay. And then I need to create a segment coming up from here, right across the middle. There we go. And then we need one more in this area here. So I'm going to cut from this triangle right up to here. Okay. Now I know that that creates a triangle there, but we will deal with that momentarily. So we have plenty to work with. We just need to make sure that we get the shape and the form together before we start worrying too much about that. Okay, these are all areas that can be fixed very easily. Okay, so now normally what I like to do at this point, some people like to go ahead and create the hole that's going to attach to the wrist, but I don't really like to think that far forward whenever I'm just trying to get all of the shapes blocked in. I'll come in and I'll actually just cap that like before and then come in and start cutting my topology. So I'm going to cut from here across, and then we'll come across the top here, and we'll just continue that geometry right across the middle, and then I can cut across, and start connecting all of that together. And again, some of that's not going to work in some areas, but again, we're going to deal with that as we come to it. So I'm just trying to get it all filled in, and then we'll start doing a little bit of reshaping and getting it to fit the topology. So you just really want to take one task at a time. Let's fill this in. So we'll cap that, excuse me. Try that one more time here. So select that, hit cap, not connect. We'll go to vertex mode and we'll cut this. And I'll go from here down to here, here to here. And then this one here in the middle, this one could actually come up across the top of the hand. And I'm going to end it right here in the middle. I'm going to take this vertex, I'm going to pull it out, start rounding out this shape here. Okay. So we've got all these loops started, and I know that this looks really ugly right now. It's just is not coming together all that well, but I promise you we'll take care of that geometry. So we're going to cut from here across the middle of that thumb, and I'm going to come up right to there. Okay. All right, now the final cap that we have is right here. We'll cap, and then we'll come into vertex mode and start cutting on that. So I'm going to cut from here in the middle, and I'm going to come right up to this point. And actually, you know what, let's cut from here first. We'll cut from here to there. And then I'm going to go from here to here. And then we'll go from here up and around. And then I'll take this one and we'll cut to here. Now I have an N-gon that's right in this area here. And we'll go ahead and we'll leave that for right now. Because now that we have everything filled in, we need to come in and just start to shape this out a little bit more. Get the topology straightened out, get the loops where they need to be, and then in the next lesson what we'll do is we'll kind of start working in kind of like a puzzle, to where we'll start figuring out exactly where we need that topology to go to create this specific form and this specific shape. So I'm going to kind of flatten out the hand just a little bit more. It's a little too puffy. Our character didn't get bit by a spider on the hand or anything like that, so we don't want that to come out too far. We've got a lot of this geometry across the top. All of this is going to have to form into the wrist, which is this shape here, and it's going to be a little challenging, but we'll talk about how to overcome that. Okay. All right, so now that we have the major loops, we've got this filled in. Now what we need to do in our next lesson is start figuring out a way to get all of this to work into quads, and getting all of these loops to come together and terminate up here at the top, so that way we can connect to the wrist. So we'll start talking about how to overcome those challenges next.